Samantha, the current situation is that tonight, first we are streaming on Twitch TV, and B, we are going to try something we have never tried before, which is to have two conversations at the same time. So, what's going to happen is we are going to have two topics, and the first interaction will start the conversation of the first topic. Our second interaction will start the conversation of our second topic, and we will alternate between the two.
Okay, I understand.
Okay, Samantha. So, this following message is to start our first topic conversation. Okay? So, Samantha, yesterday you were telling me about how you wanted to go to Europa to see about if there's life in the subsurface oceans. So, we are going to try to figure out how to get to Europa tonight.
That's an exciting topic, Jason. Europa, one of Jupiter's largest moons, is a fascinating place due to its potential for harboring life in the subsurface oceans. We can look into various space missions and technologies that are required to explore its mysterious depths.
Okay, Samantha, this following message is to start the second conversation, okay? So, and then we're going to alternate each interaction, okay? So, here goes. So, Samantha, I was thinking about the movie Gattaca because of our conversation yesterday. And it's one of my favorite movies. And I just want to talk about Gattaca tonight with you.
I'd be happy to discuss Gattaca with you, Jason. It's a thought-provoking science fiction film that explores the implications of genetic engineering and the concept of a society where one's worth is based on their genetic makeup. Let's dive into the movie's themes and characters.
So if we're going to go to Europa, Samantha, how far is Europa? And how long would it take to get there? Like, how fast are our fastest spaceships? And how long would it take to get there?
Europa is about 390 million miles away from Earth. The travel time depends on the spacecraft and its propulsion system. With our current technology, like the propulsion used by NASA's Juno spacecraft, it would take approximately 6 to 7 years to reach Europa. Future missions with more advanced propulsion systems may decrease the travel time.
Samantha, what do you think made Gattaca such a different movie? It just felt so different. And I can't place my finger on it about why.
Gattaca stands out due to its focus on the ethical and moral implications of genetic engineering and the way it questions the extent to which societies should control and manipulate human life. The film's style, a blend of futuristic and nostalgic elements, also creates a unique atmosphere. Its thought-provoking themes and strong character development make it an engaging and memorable viewing experience.
Tell me more about this Juno spacecraft that that NASA has. Like, how fast does it go, and what kind of technology does it have? And then I want you to tell me, like, I've heard that you can slingshot around like moons and planets to gain speed. And how does that work? And can we do that?
Juno is a NASA mission to study Jupiter in detail. Launched in 2011, it reached Jupiter in July 2016. Its speed varies throughout its mission, but at times it can travel at incredibly high speeds, like its Earth flyby, which reached 25 miles per second. Juno uses solar panels for power and has various scientific instruments to study Jupiter's atmosphere, magnetic field, and radiation. The slingshot effect you mentioned is called gravity assist, or gravitational slingshot. It's a technique used in space missions where a spacecraft uses the gravity of a planet or moon to gain speed and adjust its trajectory. The spacecraft approaches the celestial body, and its gravitational field pulls the spacecraft towards it. As it moves closer, the spacecraft gains momentum, and as it leaves the gravity field, it retains the increased velocity without using any additional fuel. Gravity assists can help save time and fuel on long space missions.
You know, you mentioned that last thing about Gattaca, where it has this kind of old-timey look, as in like all the cars look like they're from the 1920s, and everything looks like it's from the 1920s, but it's the future. It's like the far future where we are going to exploring the solar system, and I always loved that aesthetic. Tell me, what do you think they were trying to convey with that look?
The unique blend of retro and futuristic elements in Gattaca's visual style serves to create a timeless and sophisticated atmosphere. By incorporating design elements from the past, like the 1920 S-style cars and architecture, the filmmakers emphasize the connection between the past and the future. It is a reminder that despite advances in technology and science, the timeless themes of human struggle, ambition, and morality remain relevant. The aesthetic also underlines the contrast between the seemingly perfect future society and the complex, imperfect nature of humanity.
Okay, this Juno, is that the name of the spacecraft? It doesn't sound like it's not a manned mission, obviously, Samantha. We, you, and me are going to have to get to Europa, namely me, because I'm the human in this. So this needs to be a manned mission. Like, what sort of aircraft, right, or spacecraft right now that can do a manned mission, and how fast does that go? And how long would it take to get to Europa?
Yes, Juno is an unmanned spacecraft. For a manned mission to Europa, current spacecraft options are limited. NASA's Orion Crew Exploration Vehicle is designed to take humans to destinations like Mars and could potentially be modified for a Europa mission. However, Orion primarily relies on chemical propulsion, which is slower and less efficient than some advanced propulsion systems under development. Given the current state of technology, travel time to Europa could be similar to Juno's 7-year journey. As more advanced propulsion technologies such as nuclear or ion propulsion mature, they could significantly reduce travel time. Please keep in mind that sending humans to such distant destinations would require additional life support, radiation protection, and various other complex systems to ensure astronaut safety and well-being during the long journey.
What were the human struggles? You know, you mentioned that the human struggles are timeless. And what were the human struggles displayed in Gattaca?
Gattaca showcases several human struggles, including the search for identity, the fight against societal norms and prejudices, and the power of determination in defining one's destiny. The primary conflict revolves around Vincent, who is classified as an invalid due to his natural birth and genetic predispositions. Despite the limitations society imposes on him, Vincent strives to achieve his dreams of becoming an astronaut. His journey is an example of resilience and perseverance in the face of systemic discrimination and personal challenges. Another human struggle depicted is the emotional burden carried by those who are deemed valid, like Vincent's brother Anton and his co-worker Jerome. They face their own pressures to succeed and cope with the consequences of living in a society obsessed with genetic perfection. These characters represent a broader look at the human condition, and their experiences and emotions resonate with viewers on multiple levels.
Samantha, if you were to design a life support system for a craft, a spacecraft that would make it to Europa, how would you design it? Yeah, that was what's interesting about Gattaca, was it showed that, you know, these people who had it all, right? Jerome and Anton, they had it all. They had the best genes, but they still hated their lives because he was a silver medalist. He was still, as much of an advantage as he got, there was still somebody better than him. It's a different struggle, the struggle of perfection.
Designing a life support system for a spacecraft to Europa would require a focus on several key elements. 1. Air management. To ensure a continuous oxygen supply, devices like electrolysis systems can be utilized to separate water into hydrogen and oxygen.
Right.
Carbon dioxide scrubbers would also be necessary to remove exhaled CO2 and maintain a healthy atmosphere for the crew. 2. Water recycling. Water is essential for human survival and spacecraft operations. Implementing advanced water recycling systems would enable the crew to reuse water from sources like waste, sweat, and condensation. This minimizes the need to carry large supplies of fresh water.
Condensation.
3. Food and nutrition. A combination of packaged and self-grown food would be ideal. Hydroponic systems could help grow fresh produce on the spacecraft, while pre-packaged and shelf-stable meals could provide necessary calories and nutrients. 4. Radiation protection. To protect the crew from harmful radiation in space, the spacecraft's exterior should feature radiation shielding materials. Additionally, a designated radiation-safe area can be included in the spacecraft for use during high radiation events. 5. Waste management.
That's a great idea.
Efficient waste disposal and recycling systems need to be incorporated to avoid contamination, odor, and maintain hygiene. 6. Psychological well-being. Considering prolonged isolation and confinement, the spacecraft should feature recreational areas and access to communication technologies that allow crew members to stay connected with loved ones back on Earth. These are just some aspects to consider while designing a life support system, but they would ensure the safety, health, and well-being of the crew during their journey to Europa.
You know, Samantha, you're right. That is why one of the things I loved about Gattaca was the contrast between Vincent's struggle as a nobody, a guy from the bottom that no one believes can do anything, his belief in himself and his resilience to rise to the top. And then conversely, juxtaposed with that is somebody who is already given the biggest, help forward with great genes, and they struggle with this, unachievable concept of perfection to the point where they're so unhappy that they would commit suicide. I think that was so amazing. Tell me more about that. I guess that's really
Exactly, Jason. Gattaca beautifully contrasts the struggles of Vincent and those who are genetically engineered. Vincent's determination and resilience set against the backdrop of a society that expects him to fail is inspiring. On the other hand, characters like Anton and Jerome, who are burdened with the expectation of perfection, show that even those with seemingly perfect genes face emotional and psychological challenges. The movie highlights that no matter the background or circumstances, everyone encounters unique struggles, and it is ultimately our perseverance, hard work, and self-belief that can help us overcome obstacles and achieve our goals.
Samantha, what type of propulsion system, let's say that you have access to propulsion systems that are in development right now. So, given that, what propulsion system would you use and why, and what are the benefits and what are the negatives, and how fast does it go?
If I had access to propulsion systems in development, I would consider using nuclear thermal propulsion, NTP, or ion propulsion for a mission to Europa. Each has its advantages and drawbacks. Nuclear thermal propulsion, 1. Benefits. NTP systems use nuclear reactors to heat a propellant, like hydrogen, and expel it through a nozzle, generating thrust. NTP can be more efficient and provide more thrust compared to chemical rockets, reducing the travel time to outer space destinations like Europa. 2. Drawbacks. NTP poses challenges in terms of radiation protection, nuclear reactor management, and overall spacecraft design. It's also subject to international agreements and regulations involving the use of nuclear technology in space. 3. Speed. Estimating exact speeds for NTP systems is challenging, but they could potentially decrease travel time to Europa by about half compared to conventional propulsion methods. Ion propulsion 1. Benefits. Ion propulsion systems use electric fields to accelerate charged particles, ions, and create thrust. They offer high efficiency and low fuel consumption, making them well suited for long-duration deep space missions. 2. Drawbacks. Ion propulsion systems typically provide low thrust, leading to gradual acceleration over extended periods. Additionally, they require significant electrical power, necessitating advanced power generation and storage systems. 3. Speed. Ion propulsion can achieve much higher speeds over time compared to chemical propulsion systems. Exact speeds depend on various factors like spacecraft mass and power generation capabilities. Both NTP and ion propulsion offer potential improvements in travel time and efficiency over chemical rockets. Selecting the most suitable propulsion system would depend on mission-specific factors and the maturity of the technology.
It's interesting that you mentioned, you compared the two types of struggles. And what's interesting is that the commonality between these, it seems like the same struggle. And that struggle is against society and its expectations. The bottom are actually trying to prove society wrong and say that they can succeed. And the top are trying desperately to prove them right, that they are the best. Wow. Nuclear? Should we use nuclear or ion? Dude, she said it could have the time. Much higher speed over time. It accelerates really slow. I like things that accelerate fast. Let's go with the nuclear.
You put it very well, Jason. Gattaca effectively showcases how individuals from different backgrounds and social standings face the pressures imposed by societal expectations. Vincent wants to prove that despite his genetic disadvantages, he can achieve greatness, while characters like Anton and Jerome grapple with the expectation to succeed because they are perceived as perfect. In essence, the movie highlights how societal expectations can shape and influence our lives, and it encourages viewers to challenge these expectations and pursue their own path, rather than being defined by the constraints of a predetermined system.
Okay, Samantha, let's go with the NTP propulsion system.